What's going on, guys? So today we are looking to answer one of the biggest questions at the moment across product and design. Fully Gen AI design versus AI assisted design. Who wins and what does the future hold? In one corner, AI assisted design, where I act as the strategist and decision maker using AI as my creative sidekick. And in the other, fully generative AI, where I hand over the reins and let AI lead the end-to-end process, which will deliver the better UX, the faster flow, the smarter nudges. Let's see. So for this face-off, we're looking into Amazon's mobile purchase flow. Now be sure to stick around to see how this unfolds. So, high-level goal. Improve Amazon's mobile app purchase flow experience, more specifically, the quick buy and the subscribe and save flows to increase conversion and build brand trust. Quick reminder as always, this is a concept. We're not immersed within the product team, nor have access to quantitative data and knowledge of technical constraints to inform this design. Hence why the high-level goal is super conservative. And on the left, you've been watching the live production experience on loop just to refresh your memory. Now, as a quick preview, you can see 3 variations of the outcomes, but I won't tell you which is which just yet. All right, up first, we let fully generative AI loose to tackle our high-level goal. So both Uizard and Lovable, by the way, is that how you say it? Uizard? Uizard? I don't know. I'm going to stick with Uizard. So Uizard and Lovable are driven by text prompts. So we need to give the platforms a lot more detail other than just the high-level goal to ensure the output is of the highest quality possible based on what each Gen AI product can handle, of course. So we dropped in the high-level goal into ChatGPT and asked it the following. I'm kickstarting a design sprint to improve Amazon's purchase flow, and then define some specific outputs. So business goals, user goals, map to business goals, challenges, opportunities, and a hero statement. So this follows the similar format to the 1-hour sprint. Let's look at the outputs. Pretty comprehensive. I would actually challenge a lot of the things which it gave me. However, this side of the face-off is to let AI do its thing and to not interfere. All right, let's jump into Uizard. I created a new project and launched the text to UI experience. So there's a few generic questions it asks you. So I want to generate screens. I want to type a description. It's for mobile. And then let's start. Walk me through the detailed design you have in mind for the screen. What I did was copy and paste all of the outputs that I got from ChatGPT. So the business goals, user goals, challenges, opportunities, and even the hero statement, and drop this into Uizard. So from a high level, the product has full context on everything, right? So if I scroll down, the AI will depict this and make sense of it. The last thing it asked me was, what precision level fits your project? I chose high precision, and then this is what it gave me. Let's break it down. At a glance, it's not overwhelming. First up, we look at quick buy. It's 1 card, 1 CTA, no urgency, and barely any context. There's 0 effort to really build trust or surface related offers, let alone boost AOV. Then we have subscribe and save. Where's the smart nudging based on order history, smart defaults, or even usage patterns? There seems to be no personalization, no frequency selector, no real hierarchy of information. It's very, very basic at absolute best. Then we have this remind me later button, which I can kind of see why they've put this in there from the ChatGPT response, but it's very detached from any context. So to be fair, AI tools like Uizard are definitely getting better, but when it comes to crafting real product flows based on real business goals and user needs, you still need that strategic UX brain behind the wheel. Okay, now let's look at the second fully generative AI design response that we got. So, Lovable. In terms of workflow, exactly the same as per Uizard, purely because the product works in a similar way. It builds purely from a text response. So here on the left, this is again a complete copy and paste from what I got from ChatGPT, business goals, user goals, etc., and simply hit enter. Now it gives me a response, it creates the code, and is actually given me a production ready code base, which I can preview here on the right. All right, so the first thing you might notice is it's very similar visually to the current Amazon production experience. I'm not sure if the LLM is actually extracting that from Amazon.com and using that as reference to influence the output here. Either way, it's a coincidence or has some real reasoning behind it. So the price is clearly displayed along with the discount, but underneath you see your first nudge for smart refill. It's taking some great inputs from the prompts I gave it and really influencing the design. So this is really nice. Moving down, the first First thing I notice is smart refill is selected by default. Again, a dark pattern, and this is what Amazon actually do in their live production experience. I'm very, very against this, but we'll dive into that later when we get to the AI assisted flow. But let's just break this down. So smart refill, it's a big commitment, right? I understand the savings, but I do like at least that it's telling me about my flexibility. I can skip, reschedule or cancel anytime, but the fact that it's pre-selecting it for me, I have my backup already. Now the secondary part to the smart refill is the frequency. Now this feels super disconnected to this selection. Why is it not inside? Especially when I tap one-time purchase and then go back to smart refill. I really struggle with that transition and trying to understand and digest what's happening here within the screen. But overall, I feel having this experience implemented directly within the PDP is quite overwhelming, right? I'm already having to make a lot of decisions here. There's so much information to digest. So my recommendation would be to actually split this decision around how would you like to purchase into a separate screen with intentional friction, allowing you to really digest what the product is asking of you. But overall, I'm actually super impressed with Lovable. I was not expecting this level of sophistication, especially directly from the prompts that I gave it. It's definitely absorbed those user goals, business goals, and the hero statement to inform this experience. This really gives me an idea of where fully generative AI design is going to be in the future. I don't think it's quite there. Just like Uizard, it definitely needs that human input to kind of work on these tweaks, but it's definitely promising and I'm pretty impressed. All right, assisted AI time. Let's jump into it. So what did we do first? So we actually did the same as the full Gen AI process to begin with. So we prompted ChatGPT to give us various outputs to define our high-level product design strategy. Now I hear you ask, so what did you do differently? So instead of just being okay with these original responses, we went back and forth with ChatGPT, refined the answers, challenged them to ensure that these are super robust and we're happy with them. Based on these responses, we populated the off-grid strategy matrix, starting with the business goals. So drive conversion, boost subscription orders, maximize AOV, and reduce cart abandonment. I'm not going to go through the rest, but I think you guys get the picture. So audit time. What did we do here? So typically I would drop the screenshots, go one by one and note down my points. However, in this case, what I did was take a screenshot of the entire flow, drop that into ChatGPT along with the following prompt. Audit the Amazon purchase experience, specifically the quick buy flow and the subscribe and save flow. Output bullet points sorted by relevance for positive items versus areas of friction and need improvement. Now, what did that give me? Two super interesting lists within 2 to 3 seconds based on the full flow, which I dropped into the AI model. So I didn't stick with these directly. Again, I challenged some of them. If there was any points that were missed, for example, the experience around selecting between one-time purchase and subscribe, I would challenge it and ask me to give me more thoughts on that and uncover areas of friction around it. And also another caveat, AI can get things wrong, as we all know, so we have to go through these manually and pick and choose the ones which we feel are most relevant. So I took these lists, went back, and that's where I annotated the screens. So in this video, I'm not going to go through all of these one by one, just to demonstrate the process that we went through. So benchmarking. Same story. Use AI to give us detailed breakdowns of competitor products in an instant. So the first product was Walmart, because they have a similar experience around one time versus subscribe. So I dropped in the screenshots with a slightly different prompt. So I gave the context, followed by we're benchmarking other products to identify positive patterns and areas for improvement. Benchmark the Walmart app and give me bullet points. Similar story, right? So we have positives and negatives. Again, you need to go through these manually, go back and forth with the AI agent to ensure that they're looking at the right areas and also challenge them on things that you don't agree with. Same for the second app, which was Petco. It's a pet food product, again with a similar experience but with some very interesting differences. Same story. Responses are here, discarded ones that I don't agree with, went back and forth to ensure that the benchmarking was purely around the subscribe flow. And the last one we looked at was Urban. Again, this is a service-based subscription product. It's around home cleaning. However, still super interesting because there's some slightly different patterns here. Again, same story. Now, what do we do from here? Within the same chat, we simply said, give me a summary of all points, things to consider, things to avoid, and other things that weren't mentioned that we should explore, which gives us these 3 lists. Same story again, go back and forth, refine your response until you're happy and you feel like you have a solid list of points that you can take forward into your solution design. All right, solution time. Let's break this screen down. Hero image, front and center, not taking up 90% of the screen before the fold like the production experience, followed by a nice primer that says 10% off with repeat orders. The title is big and bold, followed by your prime information and the price. And we've introduced this nice simple component which clusters in the ratings, Amazon choice badge, and also quantity purchased. As a reminder, the purpose of the sprint wasn't necessarily to redesign the UI of the PDP, but to focus on the buy it now experience and subscribe and save. So what do we do for buy it now? I'm not sure if you noticed in the add to cart CTA, we have this sub copy underneath that says press and hold to buy instantly. So if I press and hold, you can see we have the layer blur behind, a nice animation with some interaction design to place that order. Your order gets placed with the notification up top. Now, if you missed that, let's do it one more time. Placing your order, confirming payment, bosh, done. So, subscribe and save. What do we do there? Personally, I think the PDP is so cluttered as it is. There's so much information that the user has to digest when trying to make a decision whether to purchase this item or not, that we should prompt for repeat orders at the moment of real intent has been shown. So let's go and tap add to cart. So I've split the experience in two. So the first thing you'll notice is there's nothing selected by default. Now what that's doing is forcing the user to digest the screen and really make a decision. Now if buy once was pre-selected, I would likely just go ahead and not even digest the screen because it's natural instinct to proceed because I want to get this order done fast. However, if I stop, I can see, I've bought this item 11 times this year and I get 10% off with repeat deliveries. So I'm buying this item often anyway, so why not go ahead for repeat? When I tap inside the repeat option, I can choose my frequency on an easy horizontal scroll with the recommended flag on every 2 weeks, which should be based on your order frequency. And of course, I can switch to buy once if I want, but in this case, let's proceed with repeat and tap continue with every 2 weeks. Now, checkout wasn't a part of this sprint, so I didn't spend too long on this, so don't judge me. But that's it for the solution piece. What's the conclusion? Now, quickly before we jump into the next slide, please drop in the comments any thoughts you had on this video. Would love to hear your points of view. So where do we land? So I've put Uizard in the top left, which is essentially the lowest quality, but the fastest. Now, it might seem harsh, and I might not have extracted the product to its full potential. This is the first time using Uizard and Lovable, and I'm aware that each new product and service needs a level of experience to really extract the most value from it. So please let me know if you feel that I haven't done it justice. But that said, this is just my point of view from this experiment. I felt like the product has potential, but just the output that I received after prompting a huge wealth of information around business goals and a strategic narrative, the output was just extremely underwhelming and miles away from where we need to be. Now, Lovable, on the other hand, again, a lot more impressive. I've put it in the middle where it wasn't super fast because if you try it out yourself, it does take maybe 10 to 15 minutes to give you an output, depending on how complex the prompt is, of course. The output was a lot more impressive. It needs some improvements in terms of deep thinking about edge cases and moving through the funnel, but at a glance, it's super impressive. I'm really excited to see where Lovable goes and if it starts to implement native mobile apps aside from only web. Now I've put AI assisted design on the far right, which is high quality and medium speed. Now imagine if this was just a human without the OpenAI logo. It would probably be down here at the bottom, right? It just shows that introducing these AI tools just to help reduce the amount of time that you spend on the whole design process by 50%. Again, please drop a comment if you disagree. Would love to hear everyone's point of view. Now, as a final closing statement, let's look at the conclusion. AI in product design is evolving rapidly, but it's not quite there yet. Experienced designers will always be essential across the board, from shaping strategic narratives to creating thoughtful solutions. One of the biggest gaps today, UI generation and handling complex problem statements. Picture AI trying to cover every edge case for a multi-language, localized fintech product. It's still far from that level of nuance. AI will be a game changer for early stage startups racing to ship MVPs, but companies that win through strategic, growth-focused UX will always need skilled designers, not just algorithms. That said, the next few years will bring huge leaps. We'll likely see a strong middle ground emerge between AI-assisted and fully AI-generated workflows, but a fully autonomous design process of super high quality, that feels unlikely. Now, thanks for watching. As always, please drop a subscribe and a thumbs up. It will help bring you more of these videos, 1 hour sprints, and hundreds of ideas that I've got cooking in the kitchen. See you next time.